acoustic guitar, tenor banjo, clawhammer banjo, fiddle, bouzouki, and percussion. Those are some of the instruments mastered by my next guest. Not to mention, he can sing too. 20-year-old Quinn Bachand is recognized as one of Canada's most outstanding young musicians. From renowned cover songs to original pieces, whether performing with his band or his sister, the young talent is winning over fans and awards around the globe. He joins us in the studio now before his big performances and this year's Xerox Rochester International Jazz Festival. Quinn Bachand, welcome to the program.
Thanks,
it's good to see you.
Cheers.
So I'm sure some are watching right now, musicians or parents of musicians, and thinking they're feeling a little bit of pressure to step up their game, considering all the instruments that you've mastered, maybe over a dozen instruments at the age of 20. So how did this all begin?
Well, my dad was a luthier. So
what's that?
A builder of instruments. So he built my guitar that I play, and he built a lot of guitars around Alberta. So he's a guy from Alberta, and they moved west to BC. And so BC is kind of like a melting pot of different styles, and so I think it's kind of easy to find yourself in between like gypsy jazz, which is what I'll be playing here, and like Celtic, Irish music, folk music. So it's there's just a wide range of styles, and it's very known to mix up these styles, you know, a lot of instruments.
And that's what interested me in you, these two styles, because some would think Celtic and then jazz or gypsy jazz, they seem to be like polar opposites, like country and hip hop. I mean, how is it that different, or do you see some of the similarities between the two?
I think there's a lot of similarities, like where Western swing and country music came from, like it kind of spilled over into the gypsy jazz thing. Like you hear Bob Wills and Joe Venuti and guys like that, which the rhythm section is so close to the same thing, you know, like we have rhythm guitar, bass, and banjo. So I think there's a lot of similarities. Just a lot of times it's like the region, like where you're from. So like the music that I'll play this weekend is kind of the music of Django Reinhardt and gypsies from gypsy camps in France and Germany, Holland, and Belgium.
Well, let's give viewers a little bit of a taste of your music. So we've got a clip of the Richard Moody Blues, and we'll check that out.
Cool.
What makes gypsy jazz different from other styles of the genre, such as American jazz? Are there certain things that people should be listening for when they see you this weekend that they'll be able to say, okay, this is where the contrasts with another form?
I think we like to kind of keep the root of folk music in there. So of course, we'll be hearing a lot of old songs and stuff like that, but also I think what to listen for generally is the way that it swings. So like what really drew me to gypsy jazz and Western swing is like the really laid back swing of it. It just, to me, there's no better feeling type of jazz. Like I just love it.
I've read that Django Reinhardt, who's credited as starting gypsy jazz, the gypsy jazz style, was someone that you really looked at and said, wow, like you respect his work quite a bit. I want to know, what did you learn from listening to his work that you think has helped you with your craft?
I think listening to Django, even now, every time I listen to a tune, I'll get something different out of it. So it's really substantial. Like it's just full of really deep harmonic stuff, but at the same time, it's flashy. Like really draws people to it. And same with his violinist Stefan Grappelli, who's very sweet violin player. He plays very soft, and just it sounds pretty. So it's that contrast I think is really cool too.
I'm always curious in terms of the inspiration for artists behind their original work. So when you sit down and you write something for your band, do you have a treasure trove of stories or inspiration you can pull from? What comes to you to help you with the process?
I think just, yeah, like I love folk music. I love child ballads. So a lot of these stories, they come up in different styles and different traditions. So just, I think drawing from that is definitely something that you do, but then trying to make it your own is really interesting.
And you formed the group Brishen. Tell me when.
That would have been when I was like a small 15-year-old, let's say.
Okay.
And now I'm 20, so.
All right,
yeah.
tell me about the backstory. Why pull this group together? Because the focus is gypsy jazz, right?
Yeah, well, I was doing a tour across Canada with a group called Big Machine, and the fiddle player's name was Richard Moody, of the Richard Moody Blues.
Yeah.
And we just, like, throughout the tour, we started adding more gypsy jazz tunes throughout the set. We just kept adding, and then by the end of it, it was actually basically just the gypsy jazz gig that we played. So, and he's from Manitoba, the guitar player's from the Queen Charlotte Islands, and we're all from around Canada. And so we decided to just start this group. We're all living on the West Coast, so we called it Brishen, which means, actually in Romani, a gypsy language, it means rain, which is fitting for the West Coast, and also means child born out of the storm. So that explains the 15-year-old aspect of it. Yeah.
Very good. Well, a special thank you to my guest, the multi-talented Quinn Bachand. And you can see Quinn perform live at this year's Xerox Rochester International Jazz Festival. He'll be playing not one, but two shows this Friday, June 24th at 6 and 10 p.m. for the O Canada series. And if you miss him on Friday, you've got another opportunity on Saturday, June 25th at Max of Eastman Place. That's at 6:15 and 10 p.m. You'll need a club pass for his shows, or you can pay $30 for a single entry. For more information, go to rochesterjazz.com.